Another day, another scumbag move by a AAA publisher, and yet again, it's Activision. Now, on a more optimistic note, there are some positive things happening in the industry at large as well, such as an actual open demo for Anthem, but I'll have a whole video on that later today, and spoiler alert, I'm very happy about it. But this video, this one is about Activision and the $15 million enrichment package they have just handed to their new CFO, in one of the most tone-deaf and unsavory maneuvers I have seen in a very long time. So Activision has had a rough few weeks. Well, a rough few months actually. Their stock price has taken a beating, though that is not unique to just them. It's been a widespread effect on most of the gaming and tech industries as well. But beyond this, Activision also has had a somewhat unexpected and monumental split with Bungie, in which Bungie retained the Destiny IP, and Activision simply retained the consumer ill will. Bungie is being celebrated as having broken free from disgusting greed and tyranny. Whether or not that's factually accurate is irrelevant for right now, but Activision is being demonized, and you would be hard-pressed to find any gamers out there who have anything but disdain for the company as a whole. The loss of Bungie and the Destiny IP cratered their stock price overnight, with a nearly 10% downward impact simply because of the announcement. And then, immediately after, for a variety of reasons, a fraud investigation was opened into Activision regarding potential insider trading and other possible infractions. On top of all of this, it's important to also keep in mind a few previous developments regarding Blizzard, a once highly revered development and publishing studio that is owned and controlled by Activision. Blizzard has been under the microscope, with Activision forcing them to cut costs every consecutive quarter, with incentive programs being developed to pay employees off in an attempt to cut down on their overall staff total, and in tandem with that, a very high employee turnover rate, with all of that underscored by the monumental flop of Diablo Immortal, and their play at the mobile market biting them pretty badly square in the ass. So Activision is suffering, that's the takeaway here. Their best prized award-winning studio is also suffering under their tightly clenched and greedy grasp, and what is their response? What is their decision in this overall time of heightened scrutiny and ill will? To give a $15 million enrichment package to their new weasel-faced CFO. A large part of this package is tied to stock and earning targets. That's a whole different can of worms, by the way. But a $3.75 million chunk is a flat signing fee, and the base year salary is $900,000. All this while employees at Blizzard, hardworking, talented artists, programmers, and creatives, fear for their jobs and their livelihoods. The sign-on bonus alone could have paid for an entire suite of in-game features. The salary being paid to this man, who is simply one of many high-level executives offered this type of package, could easily pay for 10 or more well-paid and talented developers, who, through tens of thousands of hours, again, well-paid hours, could enrich the game itself and help provide an experience that breaks away from the reskinned cash grab norm and offers something polished, unique, and innovative. But no, that's not what Activision is about. That's not what most AAA publishers are about. They do not care at all about the quality of their game. The only goal is higher quarterly earnings, higher corporate bonuses, and cutting costs so that those bonuses can be driven higher still while they appease their shareholders. This is one of the most tone-deaf decisions I have seen in a very long time, as the company shoehorns in microtransactions within Black Ops 4, a game that had actually started to reverse the downward slide of the Call of Duty franchise, offering quite literally a dot on the screen for the price of $1 in one of the most lazy and incompetent decisions I have ever seen in gaming. They simultaneously enrich a CFO serving his second stint in the job, by the way, with a $15 million package that is heavily tied to earnings targets. Now, I'm not a stone-cold expert on corporate policy at that high of a level. I have not seen his exact contract, and I won't pretend to know the intricacies of how the restricted stock portion of his bonus functions precisely. But anyone with half a brain can see a bloated and disproportionately skewed wage system being flaunted openly within Activision. Most people love money. Hell, look at me for instance. I sell merch, I structure my videos in such a way where I can monetize them with advertisements, I accept donations, I work with brand deals and sponsors. There are tons of ways in which I monetize and attempt to earn money. Money is good, but a $15 million enrichment package with over $3 million as a flat signing bonus and a nearly $1 million annual salary at a time when Activision is laying off employees, forcing their subservient studios to sacrifice game quality in an effort to cut costs again and again, to me, that is simply disgusting. It seems to me that 2019 will be a year of turbulence for AAA gaming. These companies are now blatantly flaunting their demented and broken methodologies within a consumer industry that has been voicing its concerns louder and louder over the discomfort of being viewed and monetized as a commodity rather than a respected player base. Activision either already has or is about to surpass EA very soon as the most hated game publishing company, but it seems like they just don't even care anymore. After years and years of getting away with this type of corporate ideology without ramifications and having had the freedom to progressively squeeze their player base further and further, they have become so complacent and so far gone that they are not even able to see how bad the optics are of giving $15 million in bonuses to one man who has little to no influence whatsoever on the quality of a video game. Well, no influence aside from the aggressive desire to promote microtransactions, loot boxes, and squeeze players harder than ever before to meet fiscal benchmarks. Perhaps this sort of practice is what's needed at such a high level to attract the desired candidates. Activision just had a CFO jump ship for Netflix, but I find it truly unpalatable that this CFO's job is so complex and unique that it justifies a bonus package of this size. The more likely and increasingly obvious alternative is that there is a ring of connections at the executive level where these companies and the social circles that exist in their governance are dedicated to lining their own pockets at every turn, with zero regard for the products they produce, their customer service, their consumer reputation, and even now, it seems, their own longevity. It is simply short-term, insatiable greed. It remains to be seen what will come of the fraud investigation, how Blizzard itself will fare over the next year, and what will become of the Call of Duty franchise, but I find myself smiling every time I see a bad news article with Activision in the headline. I feel a sense of happiness when I scroll through social media and see comments condemning their practices and encouraging other gamers to avoid supporting them. It warms my heart when comments appear on my video regarding Bungie splitting away that talk about how they might now go check out Destiny now that it's free of Activision. It makes me happy because during the duration where companies as disgusting as Activision hold any industry sway whatsoever, the AAA gaming scene has a bleak future. This is not the only instance of a publisher enriching an executive for a disproportionate paycheck. It happens all the time, but at least have the common sense to tone it down during sensitive times. As long as the corporate structure has such a skewed and weighted compensation system, then games have nowhere to go but down. Whether it be reskins, further monetization, selling the product half finished, chopping it all up and selling it to players piece by piece, it doesn't really matter. You can't raise the paycheck of a few largely useless individuals, useless in terms of actual product or game quality and artistry, that is. You can't raise those individuals' salary and make them richer and richer continually until there is nothing left, because it will utterly destroy the quality of your product, your company, and your reputation. The argument that games are more expensive and they need microtransactions and loot boxes because it's so costly to make and blah blah blah, that argument falls flat on its face when a single executive is enriched for $15 million just to reassume his once held post of CFO. I'll even go a step further with this. The gamers that perpetuate that argument with some obscene argument about inflation or how the relative cost to develop a game now when compared to 20 years ago has gone up, they need to be told flat out that their opinions and voice are not only ignorant and worthless, but fundamentally damaging to the experience of their peers. Game development costs have sort of increased, yes, but so too has the accessible market. The cost for physical manufacturing is being eliminated as the industry moves into an increasingly digital space. Further monetization has been pushed like never before, and the salaries, bonus packages, and enrichment initiatives at a corporate level are higher than they have ever been. Not to mention streamlined development, as most annualized release cycles reskin and reuse assets that have existed for years. When more than half or even double and beyond the amount of a AAA gaming budget is purely dedicated to marketing, and then the game launches as a steaming pile of garbage, how can that ever be justified? In an age where guerrilla marketing, influencer interest, and word of mouth are more effective than almost any standard media marketing campaign, how can the budget structure be defended, ever, when executives earn, single-handedly, just from a signing bonus, more than enough to make a fully functional and decently sized video game in and of itself? Personally, I see an indefensible position. People wonder why I'm so critical, why I'm so negative when I discuss the AAA gaming space. They whine about how I don't say nice things often enough. Well, This is why. This is an emblematic example of why my voice has evolved to what it is today. Because as these types of practices worsen every single consecutive day, the hobby and now career that I know and love becomes increasingly unrecognizable. When there are positives, I will not hesitate ever to discuss them and praise those responsible. But recently, there are a lot more negatives than positives, and I will not pretend that the inverse is true. Anyways, that's enough for today. Main takeaway, Activision is corrupt as all hell. Let's hope they go bankrupt. Now, though, we have something cool. We have new merchandise. We have official esports wear with jerseys, hoodies, jackets, long sleeves, etc. And they can all be customized with your own name, your own gamer tag, and your favorite number. There's a link down below to our store, and we'll add additional products over time, so grab something if you want to. Aside from that, there are some other links too. We have a Facebook group, Discord server, gaming forums, etc., etc. And for the Division 2, I think I will return to Twitch live streaming, at least for a while anyways. So follow the Twitch if you have any interest in that game or in catching a live broadcast. That's going to wrap it up though. As always, thank you for watching, and have a nice night.